Hello, it's Vic, and welcome back to the final video here in my room in Singapore. The next time you're going to be seeing me, it's going to be back at Yale's campus, and that's really exciting. But anyway, as you can see from the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about why I decided to delete Instagram about 1 year and 3 months ago. By the way, I never had Twitter, Snapchat, or Tumblr, and I use Facebook at most 5 minutes a day, and most of the time not even that. So when I say I quit Instagram, I basically cut out all social media, or well, at least reduced it to a bare minimum. So in this video, I might be using the term Instagram and social media interchangeably. And honestly, since then, I've experienced nothing but good things. Or at the very least, I'm not missing Instagram at all. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the reasons why I decided to quit Instagram and what I've learned from the experience. Let's get started. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm big on productivity. Life is short and our days are capped at 24 hours, and so I really try and make the most out of the limited time that I have. That's why it was kind of hard for me to justify spending so much of my days on something that felt like, honestly, a waste of time. I was using Instagram at least an hour every day, waking up, rolling over and checking my feed, and then on the way to school, on the way back from school, in the middle of school during breaks. Basically, whenever I was bored, I was on Instagram. My finger was always going to the Instagram icon on my phone as if I was on autopilot. Social media is like a bottomless pit. You can scroll and scroll and scroll and never reach the bottom. And if I was asking myself honestly, social media wasn't helping me become a better person. It wasn't helping me develop new skills or even to improve my relationships, which I will talk about later in this video. I figured that by getting off Instagram, I would free up more time in my life to do exactly those things. Reason number 2 was to stop craving social validation. Now tell me if you can relate to this. Taking a bunch of photos for Instagram and then agonizing over which ones to post. Or editing your photo a ton. Or writing and rewriting your captions. Or looking at the number of likes that you have. Or who liked your photos. Or looking at who read your Insta stories. Yeah, I kind of did all of those things. By doing all of those things, I was curating this persona of myself online. I was creating stories of who I was. And even though it felt authentic when I was doing it, even though I never felt as though I was pretending to be someone I wasn't, there was always this voice at the back of my head that was asking me if I was doing it for social validation. And if the answer was no, why was I doing it at all? Who was I trying to impress? And when I couldn't answer that question, I decided to stop using Instagram to find out. Some of you might be thinking, well then, wouldn't you say the same thing of YouTube? Isn't YouTube just a form of social validation as well? I've thought long and hard about this as well, long before I started my YouTube channel. But I think for me, the main reason why I have a channel is really just to add value, to share what I know. And I felt like it was a lot less of that on Instagram. Like Instagram was very much of a, hey, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've achieved. And YouTube to me is not really a space to do that. YouTube for me is more of a space to share with other students from around the world, like what I know, what I've experienced, the things I'm struggling with. And YouTube for me has a little bit of a different purpose. And obviously there's always going to be that element of dopamine that comes from getting more views, getting more likes, getting more comments. But for me, fundamentally, I think it's always thinking about what my purpose for this channel is. And what that comes down to is just adding value and sharing what I know. Number 3 was just, why not? What did I have to lose? Now, if any of you know me in real life, you know that when an idea comes to me, I go down this intense rabbit hole of research before doing anything. And what I found when I typed in social media detox into the YouTube search bar was not only dozens and dozens of TED Talks on social media addiction, but also many YouTubers, think over 700,000 subscribers, millions of views, who are also themselves cutting down on social media. If people who've built their entire careers on social media were themselves advocating for us to use less of it, what does that have to say about the impact that social media has on our lives? Probably nothing too good. And so I was like, why not? Let's just give it a try and see what happens. And it was for those three reasons that I decided to delete Instagram from my life. And even though I only intended to stop using it for the 3 months of last summer, it's been about 1 year and 3 months since then, and I don't miss it at all. Instagram really just kind of faded from my life. I still have absolutely zero desire to install it again, and let me go through why and some of the lessons that I've learned over this 1 year and 3 months. I'll go from the most obvious things to the things that surprised me the most, so stick around to the end. Number one is that I use my phone a lot less and spend my time more productively. This one is pretty obvious. If you take away the thing that keeps you glued to your phone most of the time, you're gonna spend less time on your phone. Even though I still have the occasional YouTube binge, I use my phone now for mainly functional purposes, so replying messages and emails, setting alarms, things like that. My default state now isn't to reach for my phone, and if I do, there usually isn't much on there to entertain me. Cutting Instagram has allowed me to make space for better habits to come into my life. Instead of using Instagram right when I wake up or on the way to and from school or wherever I'm going, I use that time to do things that are better for my well-being, which I talk about in my productivity tips video here. Basically, I have more time to do the things that I always told myself I didn't have time to do, like reading, meditating, so on. Number two is I can focus a lot better and my attention span has improved. As I said earlier, social media, especially Instagram and Facebook, are bottomless pits. There's always something new when you open the app again, which is what kept me perpetually going back. And don't get me started when I posted something on Instagram. I was always going back to check for likes, responding to comments. Even when I had offed my notifications, I was still always compelled to go back and check. I would be working and then my mind would start drifting and then I would be somehow on the app again. So when I was watching one of the TED Talks on social media addiction, it made a lot of sense to me when one of the speakers said, if you spend large portions of your day in fragmented attention, this can permanently reduce your capacity for concentration. I used to get distracted so much more, letting a 5-minute break turn into a 30-minute Instagram scroll. Now, without Instagram, I find that I can focus a lot better on the task at hand. That doesn't mean my mind doesn't wander, because it definitely does, but usually the things like to-dos that I have to get completed or future projects, and so I'm not usually compelled to check my phone. Number three is I live in the moment so much more. And I know this sounds so cliched, but it's 100% true. I never have to worry about getting the best photo, the best angle, dressing up real nice, because photos aren't meant for anyone but myself. And it not only saves time, but energy as well, because it takes so much effort to maintain this identity of yourself online. Also, most photos can never be the same as real life. Most memories, if not all of them, can never be replicated. And so, if you only live it once, then don't miss a second of it. It's become easier to hear my own voice and focus on my own path. Let me explain. Many people say that social media is detrimental because you're always comparing someone else's highlight reel to your behind the scenes. But when I was reflecting on this, I realized that it goes beyond comparison for me. When I'm focusing on what other people are up to, I'm not able to focus on my own journey. I know this is a bit difficult to understand, so I'm going to read out something that I wrote on a blog post about this topic a couple of months ago. I think it helps me articulate my thoughts a bit better. Taking away Instagram has helped me let go of my attachment to other people's lives and to simply focus on crafting my own. It has helped me to cut out all the noise, to figure out the things that really matter to me and not to anyone else. It helped me to really listen to my needs and be true to myself. It helped me to see that in order to learn the most about yourself and the areas in which you need to grow, you need to be looking within and not looking without. Basically, I think what I'm trying to say is that in a lot of ways, I feel like my life has more intention, a lot more direction, because I get to decide the things that matter to me, the things that I want to see in my own life without any external influence. I don't feel like I have to prove myself to anyone. And ultimately, I'm learning that the person I want to become is determined by what I do and how I live my life, and not what I broadcast on social media. And when I learned to focus on my own path, I stopped feeling FOMO or the fear of missing out, because I knew that anything I wanted in life, I could go out and get it for myself. I could make my life as exciting or as unexciting as I wanted it to be. Number 5 is I have more meaningful connections. And this one kind of surprised me because the whole reason I told myself I was on social media was to keep in touch with friends. But now I have to be a lot more intentional about reaching out to friends and seeing them if I want to stay in their lives. And ultimately, likes and comments can give you a very superficial kind of pleasure, but it's never a substitution for real, genuine, face-to-face human interaction, which is obviously a lot deeper and more meaningful. Also, you get to see who your true friends are, because the people who matter will keep reaching out to you and you to them, even if you don't exist on social media. An interesting side effect to all of this is that I've been able to connect so much more deeply with the random strangers and acquaintances that I've met at events or places whereby I may not necessarily know a lot of people. This is because I can no longer rely on my phone, on Instagram as a crutch to get me out of awkward conversations. I need to take the initiative to learn more about people. And even though this was a little bit awkward and uncomfortable at the beginning, now it's so much easier for me to connect with people that I would never have gotten to know otherwise. I've honestly had the coolest conversations with strangers, which I would never have gotten if I just didn't put myself out there. Was all of this necessarily just because I deleted Instagram? Well, the answer is probably no. If I had deleted Instagram and didn't reach out to friends or connect more meaningfully to strangers, then none of this probably would have happened. But deleting Instagram is what helped me open the door for these interactions to take place. As in all of my videos, I'm just sharing what has worked for me. I'm not demonizing social media, judging anyone who uses it, or advocating for everyone to quit. I mean, social media does have its benefits. It can be a great resource for travel locations or great vegan restaurants, or as a tool for someone's business. But we have to remember that with those benefits come drawbacks. And if we want to use social media, we need to be able to recognize them. As John Fish, another YouTuber who has a video on this topic, says, you have to be incredibly ruthless with budgeting your attention because we have a finite amount of it. Every time you're on social media, you're trading your attention for a piece of pleasure. And sometimes you're trading it for value, like when you're talking to your friends. But overall, you need to figure out if this activity is worth it for me, based on how much I'm putting into it. John Fish, by the way, is another college student. He goes to Harvard and he does great videos. Go over there and support him if you haven't checked him out. And if you go there, please tell him I sent you because I'm a huge fan. So yeah. But anyway, what John is trying to say is that social media can be used for good and does add value to our lives once in a while. You just have to learn how to use it judiciously and in a way that works for your maximum benefit. For those of you who are interested to find out more about this topic, I've linked a ton of great videos down below, some TED Talks, some from really famous YouTubers, and you can just check it out, see if you're interested. And even if you don't watch the videos, I recommend you go to the comment section and read what people are saying, because so many people have tried doing social media detoxing and have all experienced great benefits. I've actually personally not come across a comment that's been negative about doing this. So check it out and I hope you give it a try. I've also written 2 blog posts on quitting social media 3 months and 6 months after May 2018 when I first quit social media. So if you're interested in that, I'll also link it in the description down below. And if you like this video, please share it with anyone who you think might need to hear it. And also, if you have any suggestions for future videos or have any comments at all, leave it in the description below. See you in the next video.